In today's video, I'm going to show you a cheap and effective way how to remove a stuck or broken lug nut from your BMW's wheel hub, so you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars at a mechanic's shop. So let's go ahead and get straight into the video. To show you the issue that I'm having, the lug nuts that are supposed to screw inside of my wheel hub have actually broken off inside of the hub itself, and there's nothing to actually grab. They're completely flush. So what I'm going to try to do is drill these out of place. That way I can actually screw in my wheel lug nut, because right now this is a huge safety hazard.
And so here I have an assortment of tools. I have a little hammer that I'm going to use to actually shock this. I'm going to put a chisel or something of the sort and hit this out and make sure that the threads and the rusting break inside of there. I have a screw extractor kit that's actually going to help me drill out the broken off lug nut that's stuck inside of here. So this should be good. And then I have some penetrating oil, which you'll 100% need because this is gonna help break up any of the rusting that's going on inside of here. I have a power drill to use with the screw extractor kit. And of course, we're gonna bring some fire to this and actually try to go ahead and break free all that corrosion. So yeah, let's go ahead and start. The first thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is actually try to shock it by just hitting it with a hammer.
And so what I'm doing here is scraping off the corrosion that's on the very rim of the actual broken off lug nut. Now we're gonna shock the corrosion free by hammering this. And now that you've shocked the broken lug nut, that should help free up some of the corrosion. And now what you can go ahead and do is use some penetrating oil. What I'm gonna do first is actually apply heat with my flame torch. And propane tanks like this are extremely easy to use. All you're going to do is screw on the head and then press this button here to ignite the torch. And then you're gonna have a knob right here on the side. And this knob is actually gonna control the propane output, so basically how big your flame is. So what I'm gonna do is, because I don't wanna spray penetrating oil and ignite it and cause a fire trail on my entire rotor, is I'm actually gonna start with the heat, then use the penetrating oil. And what that's going to do is expand the lug nut itself, because metal expands when it's hot. And then as it cools, the lug nut's actually going to shrink back down to size, and that'll help free up any corrosion.
And now what I'll do is actually use some very strong penetrating oil like this, and I'll spray it inside of the stuck thread here.
And ideally you want to spray the penetrating oil just enough to where it pools up inside the lug hole. You don't want to spray too much where it drips down the side, because then it's not going to work its way into the threads. So spray just enough. As you can see, it's all pooled up now, and now it'll work its way into the thread holes and break free that corrosion. And then we'll go ahead and let this sit for about 10 to 20 minutes, and we'll repeat this step again. And now while our penetrating oil is working to break that corrosion free, we might as well go ahead and shock the stuck lug nut a couple more times. And I want you guys to look very closely at this one, because I'm actually getting the lug nut to move. All I'm doing is wedging my flathead into one of the grooves along the lug nut, and then you're gonna hit the flathead screwdriver with a hammer in a circular motion. So imagine you're going counterclockwise, you're loosening the lug nut, and we can see I'm gonna keep tapping it. It's gonna take patience, but it is loosening up. And now you're going to keep being extremely patient, try to find as much grooves or wedges or something for that flathead to catch, and keep on hitting in a circular counterclockwise motion. And so I was able to get this stuck lug nut to rotate all the way around about once or twice. So I'm going to wipe off all of this penetrating oil, and I'm going to go ahead and torch it. And so if there's any penetrating oil stuck between the threads, that should actually work to break free even more of the corrosion. So let's go ahead and put more fire onto the stuck lug nut. And now after it cooled off, go ahead and hammer on your flathead screwdriver, and we're gonna wedge it in there and start hitting again in that counterclockwise motion. And we can see it's really starting to free up now, and the stuck lug nut is starting to rotate around more freely than before. And so now I think I can actually get it with my bare hands. So let's go ahead and rotate. Yep, there we go. It's starting to come out. And just like that, I removed that little stuck lug nut wedge with just a flathead screwdriver. It's fully removed now.
And here was the problem, guys, is this little piece of lug nut broke off inside of my hub. And the only way to address that is to drill it out or remove it like we just did, or you can replace the entire hub. But those are really your only two options. And you can see it wasn't even crazy corroded. It looks like it just broke due to torquing, because if you look at the threads, they're not even super corroded. And so basically what I did, guys, is I wedged up the flathead screwdriver, and from continuously heating this thing, it turned the aluminum of this lug nut soft, and I was able to actually create little wedges. That way when I put the flathead in here and I hammered it, it was working like a flathead and turning this thing out of place. So overall, that is a huge success. So that is one removed. I have one more right there, but that is how you remove a broken lug nut or a broken screw with just hand tools. I didn't even have to use the power drill or the screw extractor kit. All I actually had to end up using was a flathead screwdriver, my flame torch, and then some really good penetrating oil. So overall, I was able to get that job done for about 40 bucks rather than replacing the entire hub, which would have been a massive headache.
Removing your stuck or broken lug nut the way I did will save you hundreds of dollars from paying for a professional mechanic to drill it out of place. I actually didn't even have to use my power drill or screw extractor set. I was able to only remove it with a flathead screwdriver, a torch, and a cheap generic hammer. So if you found this video helpful, go and smash that thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions at all. And as always, thank y'all so much for the support. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace out.